All right, welcome. Today, we're going to master a small but super powerful piece of English. There is and there are. It might seem really simple, but trust me, getting this right, it's the key to sounding so much more clear and natural. So let's just dive right in. So, first things first, what is the real job of this phrase? Well, simply put, it's how we point things out. It's how we say something exists in a place. Think of it as your starting point for describing, any scene, any room, or any situation you find yourself in. Okay, let's kick things off with a really important question. Is saying the spider is big the exact same thing as saying there is a spider? Not quite. And figuring out that difference, well, that's our first big step. And this slide right here breaks it down perfectly. See on the left, it is big. That describes a quality of the spider. But over on the right, there is a spider in the bath. Tells you that the spider exists in that location. You see the difference? One describes a feature, the other just announces that something is there. Okay, so now we know why we use it. Next up is the single most important rule you need to know to use it correctly, every single time. I'm not kidding. And here it is, the golden rule. It all comes down to one thing, numbers. The verb you pick either is or are depends completely on whether you're talking about one thing or more than one. That's it. So let's break this down. For one single thing, like a book, we use there is. For stuff you can't really count, like water or time, we also use there is. But, and here's the switch, the second you have two or more things you can count, like two cars, we flip over to there are. Simple, right? Oh, and here's a quick pro tip to help you sound way more natural when you're speaking. You'll almost always hear there is shortened down to there's, like there's a spider in the bath. Just a heads up though, we don't usually shorten there are, so that one just stays as it is. All right, you've got the main rule in your pocket. So let's move on and build out your complete toolkit. We're going to look at the three main ways you can shape sentences with this structure. First up, we've got the positive form. Think of this as your default setting for just stating that something exists. It's simple, it's direct, and honestly, it's the one you're going to use most of the time. See the pattern here? For a single thing, we use a or an. There is a book. But for plural stuff and uncountable things, we often use the word some, like in there are some people or there is some milk. Okay, that makes sense. But what about when something is not there? Well, that's where our negative sentences come into play. Let's look at how to say something doesn't exist. The rule here is pretty straightforward. You just add not to the verb, which usually gets squished into isn't or aren't. But look closely. Did you spot that other little change? For plurals and uncountables, our positive word some now becomes any. So we say, there aren't any chairs. And finally, the third piece of our toolkit, questions. This is how you ask if something is in a particular place. And you know what? Making a question is super easy. You literally just swap the first two words. There is a book becomes, is there a book? And yep, you guessed it. Just like in the negative sentences, we use that word any for questions about plural and uncountable things. All right, let's zoom in for a second on that some versus any rule, because mastering this little detail is really going to make your English sound much more polished and accurate. Here it is, laid out plain and simple. Use some when you're making a positive statement about plural or uncountable stuff. But the second that statement becomes negative or turns into a question, you gotta switch to any. It's such a powerful little rule to have in your back pocket. Okay, now to really boost your confidence, let's quickly run through a few common traps that people fall into, because if you know what they are, you can sidestep them completely. This first one is a biggie. And it's especially common for speakers of languages like Spanish or French. Here's the deal. In English, we never, ever use the verb have to talk about something existing in a place. It's always there is or there are. No exceptions. All right, mistake number 2, forgetting the article. Every single time you mention a single, countable noun for the first time, you have to pop an a or an in front of it. It's not there is car, it's there is a car. So important. And the last common mistake is just getting the agreement wrong. And this brings us right back to our golden rule, doesn't it? If you see 2 dogs, your brain should immediately scream are. It's all about making sure that verb matches the number of things you're talking about. Okay, theory is great and all, but practice is where the real learning sticks. You've got the rules, you know the mistakes to watch out for, so let's do a quick fire practice round to see what you've got. Okay, first one up. What goes in the blank there? I'll give you a second. Got it? It has to be is, right? Because a new student is just one person. So there is a new student. Perfect. How about this one? There, 3 bananas in the bowl. Go on, have a think. You totally know this. It's are, because 3 bananas is plural. There are 3 bananas. Nicely done. All right, last challenge. Let's turn these words into a proper question. Take a second. Okay, let's walk through. We're asking about students. That's plural, so we need are. For a question, we flip the order, and we need to use any. So the correct question is, are there any students in the classroom? So there you have it, the complete toolkit. And now the question isn't just about grammar, it's about listening. Where are you going to notice there is and there are being used today? Maybe in a movie, a song you're listening to. Just pay attention, because the more you hear it out in the real world, the more natural it'll feel when you speak. You did great today. Keep practicing.